Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Kung Fu Film Focus for this Thursday, May 16th, 2024. This evening, we are spotlighting and discussing a classic film from 1972 from the Shaw Brothers Studios, the Dream Factory as it was known. Man of Iron. Yeah. Man of Iron is a film that was released at the height of the Kung Fu film craze, starring Chen Kuan-tai, who had gone on to become a heavy player in Shaw Studios. This particular film is somewhat of a sequel / remake of a film that was very popular, starring Chen Kuan-tai, also The Boxer from Shangtung. The Boxer from Shangtung was a film that featured a storyline with Ma Yong-chen, a historical Chinese figure who was murdered by an axe gang around the early 1900s of Shanghai. And that character has been featured in his own films, including the bloody brawl that ended his life, in several films that a couple I have covered already, including The Boxer from Shangtung, as well as Jimmy Wang Yu when he starred in Furious Slaughter. The film was also remade in the modern days, and it's just nothing like the old school films that we have seen. So the film that we're profiling this evening, Man of Iron, saw Chen Kuan-tai come back and pretty much play the same character, Ma Yong-chen, but under a different name. He had a lot of power and charisma that reflected in his action scenes on screen, and he was very popular. During the Bruce Lee craze, he kind of played the foil for that from Shaw Studios, though they had a few actors who were prominent, and most of their film roles were ensemble pieces. But seemingly Chen Kuan-tai, who also had a background of studying monkey kung fu, was noted as a choreographer before he got his break to lead Shaw Brothers Productions. So there are a few films in Hong Kong where he was the action choreographer for. I think he was the action director for 3 titles. The Chase, which was from 1971. That was a Golden Harvest production. Thunderbolt, another film from 73. And that film was a Golden Harvest production as well. The Chase is known for being called the Shanghai Killers. And then there was another film where he headed up as an action choreographer, and that was The Incredible Monkey Fist. Now that film was his own starring role. The Incredible Monkey Fist, Iron Monkey, from 1978. Chen Kuan-tai is an interesting character. You can kind of refer to him as the Chinese Charles Bronson, as Chen Sing was also noted as well because of their rugged looks, their chiseled looks. They weren't the most handsome of stars at the time, but they were testosterone exuding men. They were, they leaped off the screen as macho. And that was very popular at that time. So to take in films such as what Chen had headed up, it took a strong director to lead his films. And in this film, the director was Chang Che, popular Shaw Brothers director and legendary director, and centerpiece for the Kung Fu film craze. Chang Che was a man who could really bring the best out of these macho warriors when they appeared on screen. And he did a great job of presenting these men. A lot of people now look back at and there were several directors who came up under him. Guys like Trey Hark and John Woo and Wu Ma. These all were directors who came up under him, and there were other directors who were known to look toward Chang Che as a great leader and mentor. There King Hua, who was a great director within his own right. He was noted to look to Chang Che. Shaw Brothers really had a lot going for itself in its heyday. The film studio opened in 1958, 1959, and they had their run straight through the late 70s into the early 80s, when the studio was shut down and become a TV studio. They shut down the movie portion and shifted their focus toward television. Television took part late in time back then. They were a bit behind us. television for the U.S. kind of took off in the late 60s, early 70s. And they followed in Hong Kong about a decade later. So this is what we know about Shaw's and the actors and actresses who headed them up. So again, like I said, Chang Che with the leading actor Chen Kuan-tai, he was able to do something with Chen. Chen had a love interest in this film, the legendary actress Ching Li. Ching Li was a beauty and starred in numerous roles opposite a number of these leading men for Shaw's, often Tai Lung, David Chang, Chen Kuan-tai, and she more than held her own. Sometimes she would play a rebellious female lead actress. Sometimes she would play a love interest. But she was more than capable of holding her own. She was a very good actor, and the camera loved her. She had very good chemistry with Chen Kuan-tai. Several films that they starred in together, she often played his love interest or his girlfriend or something of that sort. There were films that they were together in, like Dynasty of Blood, or Chinese Vengeance, as it was known. Then there were others like the Anonymous Heroes. These actors and actresses, they were well known to be opposite one another, and they got along very well. In this particular film, Ching Li is playing, she's actually the wife of a character in the film played by Ten Ching, who is a mobster, and he's gambling and losing, and she's like the trophy on his arm. But one day when he's gambling, he loses to a guy at the table played by Chen Kuan-tai, and he's like, you know, when Ten Ching is leaving out Chen Kuan-tai, he's mad because Ten Ching is mad because he lost, and he tells Chen Kuan-tai tells Ten Ching, he says, "Here, don't be so mad." He's like, "Buy the lady some chocolates." He gave him a wad of cash, which is the ultimate disrespect, man. And it was on from there. It was a great scene in the movie, and Ten Ching called himself gonna fight Chen Kuan-tai, and he later finds out he ain't no match for him. And Chen Kuan-tai locks him up in some knots, and the lady tells him, "Let him go. He's not a fighter, you know." Great stuff. And then, of course, you know, Chen, he fell for her from that moment. And then, of course, she played hard to get and everything, like they do. You know how it is. Rounding out the cast, we have Wang Chung, who is also a veteran Shaw Brothers co-star and had a leading role in a couple of films like The Street Gangs of Hong Kong or Police Force. Wang Chung was a guy who, he was athletic and could do stunts, but he found his way in front of the camera instead of primarily behind the camera, and it served him well. Also rounding out the cast is, I'm trying to get this guy's name, Chu Mu. Chu Mu was a guy who played villainous roles in a number of Shaw Brothers productions, usually a dastard guy with a mustache who didn't look very friendly. Also in here you have a young Bolo Yeung. In other words, Bolo from Enter the Dragon. He's in here, and he's playing one of the gang baddies. This film was action directed by Tonga. Tonga was a veteran action director, an in-house action director, choreographer for Shaw Brothers Studios for a number of years. But in this film also he is joined and assisted by Pops, Lau Kar-young, Lau Kar-young, who was known as Pops because he was a senior martial arts veteran. His kung fu lineage comes down through the teachings of Wong Fei Hung. You could be traced back a couple of generations to the great and legendary Wong Fei Hung, who was a real life martial arts teacher, instructor, and also a medicine man. So that pretty much rounds out of the people that I'll bring forward in here to discuss this particular film. Like I said, Man of Iron is pretty much a remake of The Boxer from Shantung. And it is a film that a lot of people, if you never saw Boxer from Shantung, it's okay, because if you see this film, it's just like watching. Shaws would do that. They would make a movie and then kind of remake it if it was successful by changing a couple of pieces of storyline, but it still resonated as, you know, the same film. And they did that a lot. I'm trying to go back and see exactly to remember off the top of my head. Yeah, The Boxer from Shantung was released the same year, believe it or not. And they found a way to bring audiences back. A couple of reviews of this film I have brought along with me to read to you guys. But I'll take a moment and acknowledge who we got in the building so far, because the Kung Fu joints are particular. And sometimes, you know, we get people in here, they just want to listen and see what's going on. Then we usually pick up quite a few views a couple of days later. I think it's like people in different parts of the world like to check out the Kung Fu film focuses, and that's okay. That's just fine. But for those who are with us this evening, Stormy B Man will acknowledge you. Give me a second here, just getting some of the graphics together on the screen. Yeah, so see who we got out there. We got Shogun 76, the Shogun of Harlem, is in the building. What's happening with you, man? Good to see you out there. I know you'll be tuning in for a Kung Fu film focus. I delayed this one a couple of weeks because there were just other things going on, and the boxing is real heavy right now. So it's not that I don't want to do it. Typically when Stormy B Man has an original post date for something, if it gets delayed or pushed back, I can always explain the method to the madness, but it was pushed back because of that, because we've got so much going on with boxing. I just kind of wanted to get my bid in on some of the boxing conversation. Champion Hart, my brother, is out there saying salute to Sensei. Stormy B Man in chat, what's good with you? And Tay Tay, the real queen of MMA and combat talk, is out there in the building saying Master Sifu and salute chat. Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you all coming in and, you know, hitting that like button for me. We've got almost 30 something views here, but you can see how it goes when Stormy does his thing. It's like they still want to come around, huh? Yeah. So, Man of Iron. This film was kind of cool. They were dressed in suits and ties and Chen Kuan-tai walked around with a leather jacket on in here like he was the Fonz from Happy Days. It had a little jazz riff that was obviously ripped from some kind of American track that used to play when he would be rolling around on his motorcycle and, trying to pick up the girl and all of that. So it had a little, for its time, it had a little hipness to it. And he was the perfect guy for this role because he was a badass and he came to Shanghai and he wanted to, Shangtung rather, and he wanted to be like Ma Yong-chen. His character supposedly had heard about Ma Yong-chen and was like, yeah, I'm going to be a badder ass than he was. So that's kind of like that was what his focus was. And as he came in, he get out there and he get to battling with the gangs in the streets and stuff. He was not a guy that was just gonna lay down for anybody. And once he had to run in with the gang over dude's girlfriend, it was pretty much over because he saw his way into, he wanted that woman and she wanted him too. So, and he developed his own little gang and following. So he was rivaling the bosses of the town. And that's where they began to clash. Some of them had gambling houses and brothels and things of that nature. And that was the centerpiece for their animosities toward one another. It's funny, in Kung Fu films, all they need is just a small thing to have a falling out over. And it's on from there. And it seems to escalate more and more and more. That's one of the things, because it's always been a showcase just for them to be able to have the action scenes. And in this film, it's not so much kung fu, even though they're doing kicks and certain blows of like a martial art nature, judo throws and stuff like that. But it's really street fighting. They're street gangs, but they don't use guns. But they do use those knives though. And the knives are on display in this film. Man, when they pull out knives and axes in this movie, I was looking at the blades. I was like, now how you gonna conceal a big ass knife like that under your robes and stuff? It's like, man, I was tripping out on it. But they made it work. It was funny. It was fun. Action packed. Yeah, Mr. Shelton has fell into the building. What's good with you, Mr. Shelton? How you doing? So yeah, but Chen Kuan-tai, man, he was a real badass in this film. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely highly recommended. One of the reviews that I stumbled across is from 2007 by a guy online named Harlock. He says Chen Kuan-tai is again the star of this awesome movie. All my preferred extras are in these movies, and so the fighting is really great. He says Chen Kuan-tai screen presence is really cool. And it was like in this snap photo still from the film where I told you he was wearing his leather jacket like the Fonz from Happy Days. That's a snap of him in the jacket, huh? And when he finally got together with the girl, when he took her from Ten Ching, there he was all cozied up to her, and she was loving on him, and he was loving on her, and they had this little music melody when they were together. It was like romantic, It's like, man, let me tell you something. Chen Kuan-tai probably made some of them teenage Hong Kong boys feel good about themselves, man. They're going to go out and get them a motorcycle and get them the girl, huh? And probably get a police record while doing it, because there's a great action sequence where he tries to go into her home and he's riding his motorcycle in there, and they were telling him, stop, you can't come in here. Man, he kicked them guys out the way and drove the motorcycle straight through the window. He was like, hey baby, I'm here. if you could give him some of that blaxploitation dialogue, he come crashing through the window. He's like, yo, baby, what's up? You want to ride on my motorcycle? She was looking at him. He was like, so what's it going to be? And the guys come in there, they trying to fight him. And she's like, get out, get out. And he was like, you want them to get out? Because he was kicking their butts anyway. She was like, no, you get out. He was like, what? You get out. He looked at her. He was like, you really want me to go? She was like, yeah. She was standing on the stairs. He walked up the stairs after picking some of the glass from the window he drove through out of his hands and stuff. He walked up the glass. He walked up the stairs. He took his gloves off and he slapped her. Then he got back on his motorcycle and he drove away. Boom, badass, right? And you know, of course, because he slapped her, she had that look on her face like, and they had it. I don't know why Cheng Li in the movies that she played in, if she had a scene where she had to cry, you know what her special talent was? She would have this little one tear on her eyelash. Every movie she had a crying scene, that little tear would be hanging from her eyelash. It would be hanging like that. And she was holding her face where he slapped her. She had that little tear right there. But the tear wasn't like from him slapping her. Her tear was, her heart was breaking because she really didn't want to be with her husband. She wanted to be with him. Yeah! Kung Fu films at their finest, man. Let me tell you something about this film, Man of Iron, bro. This was the kind of movie you could sit there, eat your popcorn and drink your soda, man, and just kick back and enjoy it, huh? Because it was machismo. Man, he was fighting the gang. He had a bicycle. And he was first using the bicycle to push them and knock them down and stuff. Then he took the chain off the bike, huh? You know, the little chain that go across the pedals. He took that off and started using that as a weapon. He was choking and strangling them and stuff with that chain. Chen Kuan-tai was bad, man. Him and Jimmy Wang Yu, bro. Those two guys, they were roughhouses, man. They could really handle some cappers, I'll tell you that. And I like to watch these guys because their kung fu looked kind of gritty. It wasn't all smooth and pretty like a Jackie Chan or even like a Jet Li or something like that. They were rugged dudes, man. And you know, sometimes when they kicked didn't have full extension on it, but it still had the same kind of power. That's how you know it's the power of cinematic camera angles, huh? It's like, love this stuff, man. If you don't like kung fu films, get out of here, huh? Because these movies are the best, man. They are the best, huh? Yeah. Another review that I picked up on this was by a brother named Cal42. Now, Cal42 called this the Boxer from Shangtong Light. He says 20 years, which is actually in the narration of the film as it begins, says 20 years after the events of Boxer from Shangtong, a new kid on the block, Q Lan Huan, faces a similar problem when a rival gang takes to a disliking of him. Matters are further compounded when Q takes a shine to the gang's son's property, his girlfriend, Cheng Li. See, that's what I was telling you guys. Man of Iron is both a sequel and remake, which I stated already, from Boxer from Shangtong, but isn't as good by some considerable margin. For a start, the entire first act seems to be missing. We are left with no clue as to how or why Q came to be the head of his gang, which was the main point of Boxer. Furthermore, he's not the most sympathetic character, and it's really hard to root for him. This film doesn't feel like a Chang Che film in many ways, and I suspect he didn't have any real involvement with it. he's again given a co-directing credit along with Pao Su Lee. If you can look beyond its failings on the plot side, which I always do because it's a kung fu film, it does have somewhat neat touches and lots of pretty decent fight action. It's just that when all is said and done, you get the distinct impression you've seen it all before. Yes, and I did say that, didn't I, people? I said it's both a sequel and yet a remake of Boxer from Shangtung. And when you have films like that, sometimes you just have to enjoy them for what they are. They're not going to win Academy Awards or anything like that, but they will entertain you, and some of the fight scenes can be more brutal than you could ask for. Yeah. So, what's the deal with the people we got in the chat? Anybody got any questions about this particular film? I have more than enough where I can answer a few questions. Yeah. See, I had Champion Heart out there laughing. These gang pictures from Hong Kong have always been bloody affairs. Shogun, it should be somewhere on YouTube. I know Amazon has it in their Shaw Brothers collection. Celestial Pictures remastered it in the mid-2000s, so I have it on both DVD and Blu-ray because the Blu-ray just came out a few months ago. So it is available. See, I'm a physical media person, so I like to have my own copies of the films. Yeah. Yeah. But it's a film that's very entertaining. Like I said, it's not, it don't have a great script or, even the production quality where you can see a lot of sets from the Shaw Studios. Some are familiar. It's just a Shaw production, and Shaw's kung fu films were always a little bit better production wise than a lot of the other independent films, and even Golden Harvest, until Golden Harvest started picking things up in the late 70s. But Shaw's really did a lot with these guys that they would have, and some of these actors, they would play small roles in some of their films, and some of them went on to be bigger actors elsewhere, like Bolo. Bolo became a bigger actor after Enter the Dragon, believe it or not, and his services were asked for with a lot of independent film companies, and also when Bruceploitation took off after the death of Bruce Lee about 2-3 years later. Bolo got a lot of opportunities to play in some of those films because some of the Bruce Lee imitators would have fight scenes with him, and it was sort of a semi-reminder of what could have been when we missed that fight scene between Bruce Lee and Bolo in Enter the Dragon. You remember toward the end of the film when they had Bruce Lee captured and they brought him out on the field with John Saxon, and they told him that Bolo was gonna fight Bruce Lee, and then John Saxon told Bruce Lee, "I'll fight him," and then John Saxon fought Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee stood back and watched. But people wanted to see at that time Bruce Lee and Bolo, because Bruce Lee was skinny and muscular, and Bolo was a huge, big, strong, muscular man. And at that time, he was thought to be like Mr. Hong Kong because of his muscles and his musculature, Bolo. And he was very popular. He always played in roles that, you see his characters get the worst done to him. But he did have one film where he starred in as the lead called Bolo the Brute. And it was a film that was made just for him to be the star. But there was another film that he starred in, but he was a bad guy, but he was the star of the film, and that was Chinese Hercules, which I did a Kung Fu film focus on that as well. Just to, Bolo has been around a long time. A lot of you might remember him from Bloodsport and some of the other films that he starred in the 80s. But in the early 70s Hong Kong, he was always out there getting beaten up and beaten down by Tai Lung, David Chang, Chen Kuan-tai. These guys always, got the best of him. So, but he has quite a history in the cinematic world. Yeah. So Shogun says, Bolo was in this too. Yeah, he was in here. Shogun says, I watched so many movies with Bolo. He's like, I got that one. Yeah. Yeah, man. These films are great, man. They're very entertaining. It's just like, if you're a lover of Westerns, you will love these kind of films. It's kind of that simple, Doesn't take a lot to keep you engaged or entertained. Doesn't take a lot. Yeah. Let's see here. There's a great scene where, in the movie where Chen Kuan-tai is fighting the mob in the streets, right? The gang. They got knives and pipes and stuff, and they get into it really bad and awful. And he gets stabbed. And one of the guys is like, don't worry, he's been hurt. We got him now. There's this great moment where the music, his little theme music that plays when the movie first starts, man, he took his shirt, because he was stabbed in the belly, right? He took his shirt, tucked it in his pants, and zipped his leather jacket up where they couldn't see the blood on his white shirt. And that music started playing. It was like a guitar riff. I was like, look at this dude. He's bad as hell, man. The Man of Iron. That's why they called him the Man of Iron, because he could fight through getting hurt and injured and beat up. You had to basically run him over with a car to kill him. It's like he was a badass, man. But in the 70s, we needed, that kind of stuff. And I would imagine had he lived longer, Bruce Lee would have probably played in some roles like this, because this was popular, man. It wasn't as good as some other films, but it's memorable as hell, because I remember when it first was made available on VHS. Real shoddy copy too. Like, if you remember the old VHS tapes from the 80s and stuff, when these movies started coming out, where World Norther would release them, and it's like they were all washed out, the color looked faded and stuff. But man, we would play that damn VHS 100 times in the damn player. It's a wonder the tape didn't snap. Used to play this movie all the time, man. But yeah, Chen Kuan-tai, man, in this film, he was a badass. He was a badass dude. Yeah, Shogun says we should have more people in here than this. Listen, Shogun, they out there, bro. I just told you a little while ago how many people that I had knowledge. Just like over 40-something people that's tuned in. They just don't want to write in the chat and stuff, man. A lot of these guys are people who have been blocked. A lot of these guys are people who don't so-called F with the LDBC. A lot of them are so-called people who don't F with me, but they watching my content though. Get my views up is what I say about that. Take them higher. I can guarantee you, because this is a Shaw Brothers production, in a few days, this will be over 1,000 views. Yeah. And I'm cool with it because you know what? I do this out of passion. I'm not thumbing my nose at anybody. I'm just speaking on my love for the Kung Fu film. That's all. And there's more than a few people out there who love Kung Fu films. So if they want to, shortchange themselves by not being a part of the process, let them do that. Because as Stormy B. Man has been known to say, everybody ain't gonna make it, huh? Yup. And when the train leaves the station, guess what? That's it, huh? Don't want to miss the train. Champion Hart says Bolo came back in the 80s during the Van Damme era. Yes, he did. Because Van Damme was kind of muscular himself, right? So they thought, who could be a good opposing martial arts star? And they brought Bolo in. And Bolo still didn't look his age. He didn't look like he was going, pushing 40, huh? When he got in there with Van Damme, but he was. No, he wasn't. He was really in his 30s, I think, when he got in there with Van Damme. Because when he was in there with Bruce Lee, I think Bolo was in his mid to late 20s. Yeah. Yeah. Chen Kuan-tai, man, he was a badass. He had more single starring roles that were appealing than Tai Lung did, I believe. But Tai Lung was the best actor out of those guys from that ensemble group. David Chang, Chen Kuan-tai, Fu Xing, Chi Kwa-chung, Wang Chung. Those guys, they were all pretty cool. But Tai Lung was the best actor out of them. And a real life martial arts Wing Chun practitioner. So, he made the most. And he was kind of tall for the Chinese guys. Jimmy Wang Yu was a little taller than everybody as well. I think Jimmy Wang was close to 5'9" or 5'10", so was Tai Lung. So they kind of towered over their co-stars. Yeah. Shogun is asking, have I seen his little son, Bolo's son? Yeah, I've seen him, and he has, become a weight training guy like his dad, and he has a powerful physique as well. Yeah. Shogun saying, remember he played the bad guy in Return of the Venoms. Yeah, Mortal Kombat, the Cripple Avengers. Yeah, he played the guy who was the father of the son who had the bad arms. Because he had to give his son mechanical arms because the villains chopped his son's arm off when he was a little boy. So he had made him some metal arms that could shoot darts and stuff. Yeah, that was a pretty cool film. Return of the Five Venoms, also known as Cripple Avengers, also known as, what did I just say? Mortal Kombat. Very popular film with the Venoms. Each one of them became crippled, by the son and father Tanjum, Chi Quan-chang, and Lu Feng. So that was very, I might do a review on that soon. Shaw has so many films. I'm talking about over 800 and something films of martial arts, man. It's like, listen. That's why I could talk about their films, but it's like, there's so many other Kung Fu films, but Shaw's are at the top of the hill. They are. Everything else was underneath what they were doing. Universal Truth is in the building. What's going on with you? Salute to you, bro. Salute to you. Yeah. Yeah, see, we're now pushing over 50 views. 50. Can you see that? But it says only 6 current viewers. Come on, man. But that's why I no longer play the trailers and stuff, because it's like, y'all want to go, you got to go look it up for yourself. And because YouTube will try to flag you sometimes with some of that stuff. So I don't trouble myself with that no more. Champion Heart says, like you, Stormy, I grew up on these movies. I loved them. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And here in the Chi, where we had the Mac Vickers movie theater and Oriental movie theaters, man, those films used to play 3 for $1, 25, and then it went to $1.50, then $1.75. Man, let me tell you, getting up on a Saturday or Sunday, going down there, the movie theater opens up at 8:45 a.m. And if you wanted to see all 3, you get there at the time they open, and you could watch all of them at least twice. Yeah. Hey, and Champion Heart, across the street from the Mac Vickers, they used to have Garrett's Popcorn Shop. And we used to go over there, get some of that old greasy cheese and caramel popcorn. That was before they started combining it like cheesy caramel. But you could get a mix, half cheese, half caramel, and they shake it up for you in there. Man, you used to go back to the theater, you had to get you a whole bunch of napkins because your fingers and everything be so greasy from the cheese, man. Those were the days. Man, we used to have a good time off of that. And sometimes buy that old soggy hot dog from the hot dog counter, and you have your popcorn and your hot dog and a drink, huh? And sit there and watch them Kung Fu movies, man. Yeah. Remember that like it was yesterday, bro. Remember it like it was yesterday. And I thank God for those memories. I had so many friends that we used to get together in a group and go down there, man. Just get together in a group and go check those films out. Some of us come out the theater, we be practicing the moves on each other like we saw them do in the film. Champion Heart says the Chicago style mix, that popcorn was the best. Yeah, man. Still is. Garrett's is still around. But the ingredients of how they make it has changed, but it's still a darn good popcorn though. Darn good popcorn. Yeah. These kids of today, they'll never know what it was like, what we used to experience going to the movie theaters, man. And just being able to roar with laughter or scream. And with Kung Fu films, we used to yell and holler when we see a bad move on the screen that they do or something, some kind of choreography that was special and never before seen. That was just a wonderful time, man. There's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. See, everything is so watered down today that even if something looks great or whatever, it's like, oh, I've seen that before. That's just like when the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve was made back in 1978, released. One of the advertising tags to it was, "You'll believe a man can fly," because flying scenes in movies were always like a man laying on a table or something, or being suspended on some wires and moved around, or the camera moves around him or something, or the backdrop rolls on a screen that it just passes. But with the Christopher Reeve Superman film, they used so many different methods of showing him flying that it looked special. It was like, you'll believe a man can fly. And I remember one scene in specific toward the end of that movie where after the atomic bomb explodes on Nevada and the earthquake starts, and basically the West Coast is getting ready to fall into the sea, and Superman has to fly around and save everything. There's this one great scene of him flying, and he does like a loop-de-loop like that, go around in a circle in the sky and come down. That was so cool because that had never been done on screen before. And I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like sitting there going, Superman. So it was great, man. That's why cinema, it was a great escape. And I think these Hollywood producers and executives of today, they spend so much time thinking about taking the audience's money, but they don't think about giving you something of quality, something that'll leave you with an impact. I believe that what's his name? That the director of the Avatar films, I think he is trying to captivate the audiences. That's why he's taken those films and spread them out over the years. He's not releasing them back to back to back, but he's taken some time in between, because with each outing, the technology advances and he's able to do what he wants to do cinematically even better. And that's one way, but the quality of drawing your audiences, you should never get away from that. And that's the part that, keeps me coming back to the theaters, is when you can escape into whatever it is you're watching. I don't care if it's a Fast and Furious movie. I don't care if it's a movie about Dracula or whatever. It's like, you got to be able to keep the audience's attention. Very important. Yeah. So. Well, yeah, that's about it. James Cameron, there you go, Shogun. Appreciate you on that. James Cameron. I couldn't think of his name. I had Steven Spielberg in my mind, but I know it wasn't Steven Spielberg. That's why I wouldn't say the name. But James Cameron, absolutely. But yeah. But time jumps by fast, you guys. It's like it's already been an hour in this show, and I tried to bring you a little bit of something on this particular martial art films from 1972. Shaw Brothers, Man of Iron. Pretty good little kung fu film. If you liked Jimmy Wang Yu's Furious Slaughter, or if you like the boxer from Shangtong, this is right up that alley. If you like The Queen Boxer, The Queen Boxer was another film that featured the character Ma Yong-chen and him getting killed. The film actually opens with that scene. And it's his sister, Ma Su-chen, who has to come and avenge him in that film. Yeah, Champion Heart, that's true. James Cameron is a very good director. And he says he's been accused of stealing other people's material. Yeah, I've heard about that as well. I can't deny or confirm. I'm just aware of it. Yeah, so. Yeah, Aliens was pretty good, bro. It was pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to get ready to get out of here, you guys. It's been great, being able to talk these films with you guys. I enjoy it, man. Like I said, Kung Fu is my thing. But, yeah, we're going to get on up out of here. But before we do, I want to show you guys a little. Wait a minute. I can't do that. Yeah. Yeah. A little word from the sponsor for the Stormy B Man channel.